All right, so you're thinking about moving to Sacramento, which is super awesome, but now you're probably staring at Google Maps thinking, okay, where in the heck do I actually live? Folsom, Roseville, Elk Grove, maybe somewhere near downtown? Why are there so many different options? Trust me, you guys are not alone. We've helped hundreds of families relocate here, and almost everyone starts with the exact same question: where do I live? So in this video, I'm breaking down the entire Sacramento Metro in a way that actually makes sense for a lot of people. We're gonna talk about lifestyle, commute, budget, schools, if that matters to you, and honestly, what the day-to-day life really feels like in each of these areas. Now, step one, before you get emotionally attached to a house that you find on Zillow at 1 in the morning, take a second and ask yourself a few important questions. This part matters more than most people think, and it'll save you a ton of time in the long run, as well as frustration. All right, first question, do you want something with character, maybe older charm, mature trees, or are you looking for that brand new construction where everything is modern, clean, and untouched? All right, question number two, do you want walkability? Meaning, do you want to be able to walk to your coffee shops, your breweries, your restaurants, your parks, or are you totally fine driving absolutely everywhere? Now, some people love walkability, others are like, nope, I'm happy being 10 minutes from everything as long as I can get more house and more space. The next question you ask yourself, do schools matter? Even if you guys don't have kids right now or don't plan on having any kids anytime soon, schools absolutely affect resale value, and you definitely don't want to skip this question. Now, another question you might want to ask yourself is, do you want a big yard? Maybe room for a pool, a garden, or just some space from your neighbors? Or would you rather go low maintenance and keep your weekends free? Also, think about what you want to live close to. Do you want to be near Folsom Lake? Do you want easy access to Lake Tahoe, wineries, golf courses, shopping, downtown Sacramento? Or does none of that matter and you just want to have a great house in a great neighborhood? Now, most of these are questions that we've heard from you guys time and time again, but here's another big one. What is your commute tolerance? Some people tap out at 10 minutes, others don't mind 30 or 40 minutes if it means getting more house in a quieter area. And if you're a remote worker or work from home, that opens everything up. And the last one, and probably the most important one that you guys are a little sensitive to, is what's your gut reaction to an HOA community? Some people absolutely love it because it keeps the neighborhood clean, it comes with amenities. Others hear HOA and immediately shake their head, absolutely no. Just know that there's no right or wrong answer, just what feels right for you. The clearer you get on some of these questions, the easier everything is going to become from here on out. But while I have your attention, if this is your first time to the channel, we're Lance and Lauren with the Living in Sacramento team, where we make videos sharing exactly what it's like living here and moving to the greater Sacramento Metro, including some of the surrounding suburbs. From neighborhood deep dives to the cost of living and everything in between, there is no one bringing you boots on the ground videos quite like we do. So on top of making these videos, we're also licensed real estate agents in the state of California, which means that we love making these videos, but we actually love helping you more with all of your real estate needs. So that phone number is going to be popping up. Lauren and I are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message. And better yet, you can always book a one-on-one strategy session. If you're not ready for the strategy session, you can also download our real estate app. But ultimately, we love helping people relocate to the Sacramento Metro because we love living in the Sacramento Metro and love showing you guys what it's absolutely like. Now let's get into one of the biggest forks in the road when it comes to moving to the Sacramento Metro, and that's going to be living in the city versus living in the suburbs. And this usually comes down to more of a lifestyle choice than even price. Now, if you're the kind of person who loves walkability, meaning that you want to step outside and be minutes away from coffee shops, restaurants, breweries, farmers markets, live music, sporting events, and that energetic downtown or urban feel, then living in Sacramento proper might be exactly what you're looking for. That lifestyle exists in neighborhoods like Midtown, downtown, East Sacramento, Land Park, Curtis Park, Boulevard Park, Pocket, and Greenhaven, in both North and South Natomas, depending on the type of home and neighborhood vibe you want. Now, these tend to be areas that have older homes with charm, mature trees, unique architecture, and that lived-in Sacramento vibe character that you won't find in some of the newer developments in the suburbs. Plus, you're going to be close to Golden One Center, major parks, bike trails, and the heart of Sacramento's food and entertainment scene. Now, if none of this excites you and instead you're thinking something like, man, I kind of want a bigger house or a bigger yard or a 2-car garage, maybe a community pool, decent schools, or a Costco nearby, then yeah, you might like the suburbs a little bit more. But the thing to remember is there's no wrong choice. Both sides offer great options. It just depends on the pace of life that you guys want to live and how close you want to be to the action versus comfort, space, and maybe even convenience. Now, let's zoom out a little bit and look at the Sacramento Metro as a whole, because this region breaks down cleanly into 4 main directions or subsections, and depending on what you value, schools, commute, budget, lifestyle, or just that overall vibe, one of these directions will start to feel like an obvious choice and the other 3 are going to be a hard no. Now, to keep it simple, here's the layout that we're going to use for the video today. So first of all, you're going to have the northeast section, which is going to encompass Roseville, Rocklin, and Lincoln. Then you're going to have the east section, which is going to be stuff around Folsom Lake. Think Folsom, El Dorado Hills, and Granite Bay. Then we're going to go over to the south. Those are going to be areas like Elk Grove, the Vineyard area. You could probably even throw the Pocket in there as well too. And then we're going to head out west. West is going to consist of West Sacramento, Davis, and Woodland out by the airport. Now keep in mind that each of these areas has its own personality, its own pace, different price ranges, housing styles, and lifestyle feel. Now, none of these are better or worse than the others. They're just built for different people at different seasons of life with different priorities. Now, let's start with the northeast section first, and then we're gonna work our way east around the clock and finish off with the west. Now, the northeast does tend to be one of the more popular destinations, but let's dive a little bit deeper into the northeast part of the Sacramento Metro. Rocklin, Roseville, and Lincoln. Now, if somebody tells me that they want great schools, newer homes, safer neighborhoods, tons of parks, and a community feel, that's just easy, enjoyable day to day, this is the area that almost always rises to the top for a lot of people. This part of the metro checks a lot of boxes for families, remote workers, retirees, or honestly anyone who's just relocating to the area and wants more affordable, clean, organized suburban lifestyle. Now let's start with Roseville. Roseville is basically the suburban Swiss Army knife of the greater Sacramento Metro, because no matter what lifestyle you want, there's probably a neighborhood that fits it. If you want new construction, you can head out to West Roseville, and we have tons of new developments out there. Everything from Winding Creek to Amarusa Ranch to Sierra Vista, they have it all. Now, if you want something a little bit more established and mature with trees and larger lots, you're gonna find that over in Central or East Roseville. There are huge mega parks, great schools, constant community events, and everything that you need close. Costco, the Galleria Mall, Topgolf, Golfland Sunsplash, hospitals, gyms, chain restaurants, local restaurants. It's all right there. And most of all, it's within 10 to 15 minute radius. I absolutely love living in Roseville because if I got to do errands on the weekend, bam, I can hit 10 or 15 stores in a good 2-hour radius, and I'm not leaving more than about a 5 to 10 mile radius of that. Now, if you want convenience and options, Roseville nails it. Now, let's pivot over a little bit north to Rocklin. Now, Rocklin feels just a touch more polished than Roseville. Now, it's a little bit more boutique suburban compared to Roseville. The schools are consistently among some of the highest rated in the Sacramento region. The neighborhoods feel really intentional, and you'll find beautiful master plan communities like Whitney Ranch, Whitney Oaks, with community clubhouses, pools, walking trails, golf courses, and parks woven through the entire community. Now, there's also Quarry Park, which gives Rocklin its own identity. At Quarry Park, you're going to have concerts, playgrounds, trails. There's even rock climbing and zip lines at Quarry Park. Now, if you want suburban living that feels elevated with a strong sense of community, pride, Rocklin is definitely going to be a top contender. Now, finally, another top contender in the Northeast is going to be Lincoln. Now, Lincoln is where you're starting to see a lot of new growth, especially for people who want newer homes with better pricing. Now, Lincoln is one of those special towns that if you compare it to places like Rocklin or Folsom, your dollar is going to go a lot further here, and you're going to get a lot bigger house. Now, the city has exploded with a ton of master plan communities in areas like Lincoln Crossing, 12 Bridges, the new Liberty community that we featured a few weeks back on the channel, even Bickford Ranch, are all going to be packed with amenities. Pools, gyms, basketball courts, tons of walking trails throughout the city, dog parks. You're going to have golf courses over at Sun City, Lincoln Hills. You've got Turkey Creek out off 193 for golf. And it's going to be one of the most popular areas in the Sacramento Metro for active adult communities in all of Northern California. Now, it's basically going to be resort style living for the 55 and up crowd, but if you want new, clean, community-driven living and you don't mind being a little bit further out, Lincoln should definitely be on your short list. So here's the bottom line with the Northeast corridor. It's practical, it's super convenient, it's definitely family friendly, it's great for remote workers, it's great for retirees, and it's definitely great for that day-to-day living that just works. Most people who move here adjust quickly because the layout and the amenities and the lifestyle are just so easy and convenient and familiar, especially for people coming from large metros like Orange County or Phoenix or even Austin. And honestly, the people who move here stay here long term because it's one of those places that quietly checks every box without having to overthink it. Now drop a Northeast down in the comment section below if Northeast already feels like the direction that you're leaning towards. All right, now let's shift over to the east side of the Sacramento region, and this is going to include places like Folsom, El Dorado Hills, and Granite Bay, and all of that stuff that's around Folsom Lake. Now, this area is going to have a very distinct feel compared to the rest of the Sacramento metro, and if you're somebody who loves nature, elevation, cleaner air, lake access, and more upscale suburban vibe, this part of Sacramento is definitely going to stand out very quickly to a lot of people. People who usually choose this area want a combination of easy access to Lake Tahoe, easy access to Folsom Lake, beautifully planned master plan communities, great schools, a lot of outdoor activities, and neighborhood aesthetics that feels well kept and intentional. Now there's a little bit more elevation here and more open space and more views, especially as you get a little bit closer to the east side of Folsom Lake and some of the foothills. Now Folsom is also one of those cities like Roseville that feels thoughtfully put together. Now everything from the trail systems to the shopping areas to the neighborhoods, it all feels extremely planned and connected. So you're gonna see people out walking, biking, jogging. It has a very active lifestyle and culture. When the weather is perfect 9 out of the 12 months, it just makes it easier to get outside. The amenities here are gonna be strong. You're gonna have excellent school systems, great parks, great community events. And if you still want that newer construction feel, especially on the south side of Highway 50, Folsom Ranch is going to deliver with that new construction. Now Folsom has just dialed in that suburban feel where everything's modern, everything's clean, and everything is perfectly maintained. Now next up, you're gonna go a little bit further east on Highway 50 up to El Dorado Hills. Now El Dorado Hills is one of the most in-demand luxury relocation markets in the entire Sacramento metro. If you want gated communities, views, newer construction neighborhoods with a little bit more elevation and that resort style feel, El Dorado Hills is definitely gonna deliver. You're gonna find master plan communities like Serrano, Blackstone, or even Saratoga Estates. And these are gonna offer stunning homes, private amenities. Some are gonna have golf courses, incredible sunsets, and a lot of families relocating here from the Bay Area or Southern California. Then lastly in that east section is going to be Granite Bay. Now Granite Bay is less about new construction and more about space, privacy, custom homes, and mature landscaping and properties that feel super unique. So a lot of the lots in Granite Bay are gonna be somewhere between a 1/4 acre to a 1/2 acre, sometimes more, but especially you're gonna get some peace and quiet out by the lake and near some of the golf course communities. Now Granite Bay does have a little bit softer of a high-end feel. It's not flashy, it's refined. And if you want elite schools and access to trails, golf, and Folsom Lake in a more private environment, Granite Bay is definitely gonna check all those boxes perfectly. So here's the big thing with the east side of Sacramento. If you want suburban living paired with quick access to nature, whether that's hiking, paddleboarding, boating, mountain bike riding, or just enjoying the foothill scenery, this area is going to be the perfect place for somebody who's moving to the Sacramento metro, and it does it while delivering top tier schools, some newer homes, and a peaceful and elevated lifestyle. All right, now let's head south and talk about Elk Grove because this area deserves its entirely own spotlight. Elk Grove is the second largest city behind Sacramento, and it's one of the most researched and relocated cities too in the entire Sacramento region. It's usually at the top of a lot of lists for people who want a balance of space, schools, newer homes, and affordability compared to some of the more premium price suburbs in the Sacramento metro. People who choose Elk Grove usually want a few key things: a practical neighborhood layout, good schools, close to amenities, family-friendly parks, lots of new construction, and convenient access to all the stores, restaurants, and everyday errands without having to drive a million miles to go get something. Now, Elk Grove nails that combination extremely well, but one of the biggest draws here is going to be the home inventory. Elk Grove has a ton of master plan communities and a ton of new homes built within the last 20 years or from the early 2000s forward. And there are still a lot of really good pockets of developments happening south by the Sky River Casino. So whether you're looking for something that's move-in ready, or you're looking for something that's turnkey, or you want to be the first owner of a brand new construction home, there's a good chance that Elk Grove has the options in your budget. Now, another advantage here is the Elk Grove Unified School District, which is one of the largest school districts in the entire Northern California region. And a lot of families specifically seek out Elk Grove for the reputation, the programs, and the access to multiple highly rated high schools. So whether schools matter now or you're just thinking ahead for resale values, This is a strong influencing factor for people moving to Elk Grove. Now, Elk Grove has a ton of parks, playgrounds, green belts, trails, and community spaces, so you'll find walking and biking throughout the entire city of Elk Grove super easy and super convenient. Elk Grove is also a great opportunity for commuters. Elk Grove offers a ton of practical locations, so you're close enough to downtown Sacramento for government, medical, or even corporate jobs, but you're far enough away to enjoy the quiet neighborhood peace and a little bit more space off of Highway 99 or Interstate 5. And finally, we've got the west side of Sacramento. Now, we don't typically talk too much about the west side of Sacramento, but this is going to include places like West Sacramento, Woodland up by the airport, and Davis. And this part of the region has completely different feel compared to the northeast, the east, and even the south, depending on your lifestyle, your commute, or even if you have to go back down to the Bay Area. But if you have to go back down to the Bay Area for work, this area might make the most sense logistically, even if it's not the first area that people research. So let's start off with West Sacramento. West Sacramento is going to be everything that's going to be on the west side of the Sacramento River, pretty much everything on the west side of Sacramento and I-5. And it's going to be one of those cities that has evolved a lot in the last decade. So it used to be seen kind of like as a port town or an industrial kind of extension of downtown Sacramento, but now it's quickly turning into one of the most convenient and livable options for a lot of people who want quick access to Sacramento, but they also need to have quick access back to the Bay Area. So you don't have to live downtown, but you can be close in proximity and still kind of have that suburban lifestyle feel. I love West Sacramento for somebody who wants to be close to the nightlife of Golden One centers for Kings games, live music, restaurants, breweries, or just that overall downtown energy, but you still want a little bit of space, you want a garage, or you want a newer construction. You can still find residential neighborhoods in West Sacramento that give you close access or proximity to downtown Sacramento for work or for fun, but you can still live your life over in West Sacramento, and it's a quick 5 to 10 minute drive. Now, next up is Woodland, and Woodland moves at a much slower pace than the rest of the Sacramento Metro, and that's exactly why people choose it. So if you're looking for a little bit more space, some larger lots, or even some acreage, Woodland's going to deliver a little bit better than some of the other areas that we've talked so far about on the video. So the value in this region is going to be huge. Home prices here tend to stretch your budget a little bit further, especially compared to areas like Folsom or Roseville. And then some of the trade-offs is that you're going to have a little bit more of that quieter small town lifestyle. So there is just a charming historic downtown feel to Woodland that a lot of people don't talk about. You're also going to have some newer shopping options and plenty of new development that's happening or that's being planned on both the south and the east sides of Woodland. Now, Woodland's going to be a great fit for people who want that peace of mind, a little bit more room to breathe, and an easy commute to either Sacramento or Davis without paying a premium price. And then lastly, we have Davis. Now, Davis is one of the most unique cities in Northern California because it has a completely different identity than any other suburb in the region. It is definitely a true college town at heart, being that it's home to UC Davis that drives almost everything. 60% of the residents are all going to be college students, but if you decide that you want to make this place home, everything about the city of Davis is going to be about culture and the layout and the businesses and even the lifestyle. You'll see bikes everywhere because the whole city is built around bike paths and walkability, and the schools are top tier here. There's a strong academic and community pride, and there's a clear emphasis on sustainability, education, and local food. Homes here tend to be a little bit older and you won't find a ton of new construction, but what you do get is an established, tight-knit, highly educated community. So if you work in education, research, medicine, or you just want one of the best public school districts in the entire Sacramento region, Davis is going to be hard to beat. So here's the takeaway for the west side if your career or your daily life revolves around downtown Sacramento, UC Davis campus, medical, biotech industries, or heck, you even have to commute back to the Bay Area a couple of times for work. It's extremely practical. West Sacramento is going to give you proximity to nightlife and convenience. Woodland's going to give you a little bit more affordability and space. And Davis is going to give you schools, community, and culture that is absolutely a one-of-a-kind college town environment. So for a lot of people, the West Side isn't just a place to live, it's a place that makes the most sense for a lot of people. Now, by this point, you probably have a pretty good sense of which direction you're starting to lean or which direction starting to make the most sense for you. So whether that's the northeast, the east, the south, or the west section, there's going to be the perfect place for you. But this is the part where most people start second guessing themselves. And honestly, it's totally normal. This is where we run what I call the fit test or your 20-minute bubble. The fit test takes everything we've talked about so far, lifestyle, commute, budget, schools, vibe. Now the main goal is we want to kind of narrow it down even further so you can stop browsing the entire Sacramento region, and then you can start focusing on just one section or two sections that actually fit your lifestyle. And here's how we do that. Now the first thing that we do is we look at commute time. Even if you work from home right now, ask yourself realistically, would I ever need to commute to downtown Sacramento, or would my partner need to commute to downtown Sacramento? Would kids need to go to school or any type of activities? Sacramento is a very drivable city, so you have to drive a lot of places to get to where you want to go. Here's something that most people moving here don't realize. Sacramento is a lot bigger than it really looks on a map. So depending where you land, a 12-mile drive might be 15 minutes or it might be 45 minutes. So the sweet spot for most relocators, especially families, tends to be within roughly a 20-minute bubble of the places they go to most. Work, school, sports, Costco, Target, the gym, and whatever weekly life stuff means to you. So think about that. What's in your 20-minute bubble? Downtown, Folsom Lake, Lake Tahoe, Target, Chick-fil-A, a hospital, family, or is it a peace and quiet with no traffic at all? Once commute and convenience makes sense, the next filter is going to be budget. Different parts of the Sacramento Metro offer different values. In some areas, the same budget will get you a smaller, older home in a central location, and in others, it might be a brand new 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot home with a view. The key isn't finding the biggest house, it's finding the house in the neighborhood that actually align with your priorities. Next, we're gonna talk about schools. Even if you don't have kids yet, or maybe you never plan to, schools matter in the Sacramento Metro because they drive demand and pricing and a long-term resale. So if schools are important to you now or in the future, prioritize districts early on. Then there's going to be the question of HOA versus no HOA. Some people love HOAs because they keep the neighborhoods clean, maintain amenities, and help property values stay strong. Others want zero restrictions and don't want anyone telling them what color they can paint their house or where they can park their RV. There's no wrong answer here, just know which camp you're in. And another important filter is going to be lot size. Do you want a giant yard? Do you want a big yard where the kids or the dogs can run around, or maybe room for a pool or a garden? Or do you want something that's low maintenance that doesn't eat up your weekends? The answer here usually becomes obvious pretty fast once you compare how you wish you lived versus how you actually live. And then the final, and honestly probably the most important filter, is going to be the lifestyle vibe. Ask yourself, do I want quiet? Do I want energy? Do I want nature? Do I want community? Do I want amenities? Do I want walkability or privacy? Do I want newer and polished or older and unique? This is where the list turns from a spreadsheet into a feeling, and when you're relocating, especially from an out of area or out of state place, that feeling matters the most. And here's the truth. Most people don't finalize their choice until they've actually done a recon trip and come to visit some of these areas in person. You can watch 50 videos, you can Google everything that you want, but when you're physically here, driving through the neighborhoods, grabbing coffee, seeing the schools and the parks and the grocery stores, something eventually is going to click. And when it does, the decision becomes super easy. The stress disappears, and you go from we're exploring Sacramento to this is home. So if you're watching this video and you're somewhere between curious and committed, just know that that's normal. The fit test helps you move from overwhelming options to clarity, and once that happens, everything else falls into place. So if you made it this far in the video, congratulations, that was a long one, but we absolutely love helping people figure out which area is going to be the best fit. So as always, that phone number is going to be popping up. Lauren and I are the ones that answer every single phone call, email, and text message, and we absolutely love it when you guys reach out to us. So go ahead, give us a phone call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or if you want, you can just go right ahead, book a one-on-one strategy session, and we can go through all of this stuff. We can figure out what makes the most sense for you guys and figure out what area may be a better fit, or maybe there's another area that could be a better fit than what you're thinking of. We can always figure out the logistical steps of what it looks like to move from where you're currently at to the Sacramento Metro with the least amount of headache and the least amount of stress. So that phone number is up there. If you're not ready to book a one-on-one call or you're not ready to contact us yet, go ahead and download our real estate app. You can search for homes. We're not going to bug you, but there's a ton of resources in there. We have everything from our vendors to our lender to people who are going to help you throughout the process. So that phone number is up there. We always love connecting with you guys, but otherwise we'll see you on the next one.